right there, Oscar. If you could remember, it's papaya rules. This is race 1 of the season, and we're on lap 22. Just remember, don't push anymore. I know you're quicker. But stop pushing against Lando. Don't stop pushing against Lando.
Welcome to the Red Light Racing Podcast.
Hello guys, so welcome back to the podcast, or welcome to the podcast if you're a new listener. I am Nick, and I will be talking today about the Australian Grand Prix, where we experienced this lovely fine Sunday. The weather in Australia didn't look great. It wasn't great, was it? It was pretty wet, pretty windy. The conditions looked quite unbearable. It looked slippery as fuck, and my predictions were all wrong. I didn't get a single one right, which I kind of thought I wasn't going to. So, yeah, I'll take it. To be fair, I think I kind of got one right. I got Gabriele Bortoleto right. Because I think I said in the podcast, I feel like he's either going to get like an instant or something, and he did. So, I can see something. Ain't much. But, yeah, I at the start of the podcast, I said about papaya rules. It was a little bit, well done to Lando as well, by the way, because he drove really well. The car's fucking quick, but McLaren looked really strong this year. From the first race, from what we've seen, people are going to be like, well, McLaren have got it in the bag. Lando's probably going to win the World Championship. All of this shit. Remember, guys, I needed to keep telling myself it's only race 1. It's only race 1. We've got many, many more ahead of us. I think it's like 19 or 20 more to come. So it's fine. It's not the end of the world. It's a shame if your team didn't do well, like mine, or like yours maybe. Maybe your team did do well, so congratulations if your team did do well. Not many teams did do well. Mercedes was pretty much the fucking big boys, and so fair play to them. Fair fucking play. But today, I'm going to go over my predictions and just kind of fucking tell you how shit I did, really. A few of them I got, well, one of them I got right, which is the first one. And everything in between, I believe is wrong. So it was an interesting prediction. I knew I wasn't going to get any of these right, because I had no fucking idea who was good, who was shit, who was okay, who would linger around like a bad fart. A lot of people just disappeared in the wind, didn't they, in the race? Was it 6 DNFs in the end? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it was 6. It was 6 DNFs, which is mad. So only 14 drivers actually finished the race. Before the race even started on Sunday, the track itself looked like glass. It was like normal tarmac with surface water on it. People were using inters. Some people took a chance with using wets, and then the forecast throughout the day, it was just hit and miss constantly. There was a bit of rain coming in, it was blue sky, and the track dried up really quickly, and then it got really wet again. The wind was strong, so had really bad tailwinds, and it was just one of those races where just everything just kept changing, which made it interesting. My first podcast, I called it something like my initial reaction to the Grand Prix. I was rather pissed off, not going to lie to you guys and boys and girls. I was disappointed. My team, Ferrari, didn't do well at all. Their strategies, once again, was appalling. And I kind of was hoping they were going to wean away from that this season and just hit the ground running with decent decisions. And I know people could be like, well, weather conditions played a massive part in that. At the same time, I had perfect opportunity to change their tyres with a good window for them to end up in the middle of the pack. Instead, they ended up quite towards the back of the pack, and they were lucky to grab points, both drivers. But I would say it's a lesson learned, but there's a meme already going around of Charles Leclerc saying there's water in his cockpit or on his seat, and he goes, "Well, is it?" And then the race engineer goes, "Well, I think it's water," or whatever it was. And the clerk's like, "Well, that's great words of wisdom." And it was just like, oh, for fuck's sake. Not even, oh, maybe it's your water tube, your hydration tube is leaking. Nothing like that. It was funny. It was lighthearted. Like, I kind of get why the engineer is talking like that, because he doesn't want to stress the drivers out. But at the same time, it was a little bit too memey. And I felt bad for Lewis as well. Like, he could see before the race that his dad was there. I don't know if his stepmom was there, but his dad was there, and he said it just felt like the first race he's ever had in an F1 car. It was all really giddy and all of that. And Anthony was great. He was really good with Isaac Hadjar this weekend, who, bless him, he crashed out on the formation lap. And a lot of drivers think highly of Hadjar. But yeah, on the weekend, I'm not going to say he let himself down, because I don't really want to say that, but you could say that he did, but I think it was more bad luck and skill. I'm guessing. I'm not saying he's not skilled. I think he's very skilled, and I think he's got a very decent future ahead of him. It's just, there's hard conditions, wind. I definitely couldn't drive an F1 car in those conditions, let alone my normal car. I don't think I could do it even then, going as fast as I could in my car. I think I would die. So I'm not going to slag him off at all, because I'm not in his shoes, but watching it, I was like, oh no. So that was a shame for little Isaac, because I was hoping he was going to do quite well. He seems like a really genuine nice guy. And DNF'd, bless him. So in 20th place, I put down Gabriele Bortoleto. Technically, I am right. He did DNF. He didn't finish the race. But he looked pretty good in qualifying, which is interesting. And over the course of the whole race, the kicks didn't actually look too shit. Hulkenberg again is one of the goats and on in the grid, and he did very well for his team today. Secured them some decent points. But yeah, Gabriel, bless him, he was out of the window. In 19th, I predicted Esteban Ocon, because I thought he was going to get amongst it with the damage and ruckuses amongst all the rookies. I didn't think he was going to actually finish the race either. I thought he was going to DNF, but I put 19th. But he did finish it, and he came 13th. Sounds great, doesn't it? But there was only 14 cars racing this weekend where we finished. The Haas looked dog shit. And if you're a Haas fan listening to this, let's just hope and pray that the Haas find some pace somewhere before China, and you get it straight away, because that car looks awful. It looks like Kick Sauber from last year, and I know that's a little bit negative, but it was horrible to watch, and I was really looking forward to seeing Ollie there and seeing how he got on with the Haas. I think I actually put Ollie above Esteban in my predictions, because I was thinking he's gonna be good, and he did finish the race. So he's one of the lucky two rookies that actually finished the race. And it's funny that the two rookies that finished were teammates last year, which is pretty cool. But yeah, bit shit from Haas. So Esteban I put 19th, and he came 13th. So he didn't get any points, but at the same time, 6 drivers got DNF'd, and they were the best out of the rest. So in 18th, I put Lance Stroll. This was very surprising. I thought the window licker was going to fuck up, and he was going to crash into a barrier. He was going to fuck something up. He was going to cause an unnecessary crash by maybe re-entering without even looking. Just something which Lance Stroll does all the pissing time. But he decided this weekend to not be an invalid and not be an idiot. I could use so many other words to describe the guy, but he did okay. He actually did pretty good. He pulled it back pretty well, and he didn't just pull it back. He got some decent points for Aston Martin when his teammate wasn't racing. So Lance Stroll actually, in the end, came 6th place. It was pleasantly surprising and a bit of a breath of fresh air. They say new year, new me. Well, maybe this year is a new Lance Stroll. As Lance Stroll, we've waited for fucking almost a generation. But again, it's the first race out of a season. 6 drivers didn't make it. So all of these scores, I am taking with a massive pinch of salt. And there's not much you can really take away from this weekend's race. But one of them is, oh my God, where are we? Because I don't really know where we are at the moment. And that's good. That's good. Don't get me wrong, it's good. But I can't really quite put my finger on who's doing good and who's doing bad, because I'm thinking, shit, who, what, where. But yeah, fair play to Lance Stroll. 6th place, decent points for Aston Martin when we needed it. And in 17th, I put Isaac Hadjar. He actually got a DNF. And I can't remember if I said in the previous podcast that Isaac, Lance and Esteban and Gabriel were going to, have a bit of a crash or have a bit of a moment. But yeah, I wasn't right, because he didn't get a 17th. He got DNF'd in the end, which was a shame, because he didn't actually do one lap of the Grand Prix. Bless him, because it would have been nice to see him at least do one and go, I've taken part in the Melbourne Grand Prix, but the only thing he took part in was the formation lap and making. Did you see what Helmut Marko, what his fucking name is, the biggest bellend in F1, said? He said it was embarrassing, him crying or something. Again, the media may have skewed some of the truth in that. He may have been saying it was embarrassing that he crashed in his formation lap. But a lot of these people, what they're saying is saying that he said it was embarrassing that he was crying. Hang on a minute, dickhead. A lot of people cry in F1. It's a very emotional sport. And I might be calling him a dickhead being wrong. So call me a dickhead. But I'm only calling him a dickhead on the premise that he called him embarrassing for crying. Don't say shit like this. He's been saying shit all weekend about different drivers and all sorts of shit, just trying to, get sounded or get heard or get some clout. Mate, you're a fucking wrinkly old ballsack. You're a knob. Fuck off. Like, I don't like seeing you on my TV. Please, could you politely fuck off? But Isaac Hadjar DNF'd, so it was a shame. But it was really nice. We got one good thing about Isaac Hadjar during this weekend, and that is that he had a nice chat with Anthony Hamilton, which was really cute. He came up to him and put his arm around his shoulder and said, "Don't worry about it, son. You're okay. It's absolutely fine. It's one of those things. We've all been there, It was really nice, actually. It was really humbling to actually watch that after his incident. And he was walking through the paddock with his hand in his visor. He didn't want to take his helmet off because I think he was crying. I don't know if he was crying, but everyone goes, he was crying. He may not have been crying, but it looked like he was crying. He's rubbing his hands with his gloves constantly, wiping away those little tears. But yeah, Anthony went up to him and gave him a little bit of a word of encouragement and some advice. So that was really nice to see, especially from probably one of his idols' father coming up to you saying such nice things. It's probably quite a pleasant surprise. So unlucky to Isaac, but I hope he shakes it off, and I hope he comes back in the next week's race and just absolutely shreds some dick, because I feel like he will. So yeah. And in 16th, I predicted Nico Hülkenberg. I was way off the mark, which I am chuffed with. Again, 6 DNFs, so he got 10th if you wanted to look at it in the sense of people were quicker, but we don't know that. He may have stayed at 6th, or whatever position did he come in yet? He came 7th, and he drove amazingly. I'm chuffed to bits that Kick are actually seeming to try to do something. Again, it's the first race, and you can't really tell. But Nico, I think, was a great signing for the Audi move or merger for next season. And I think he's going to help the team iron out some of the bumps and all of that. And you've got Jonathan Wheatley, who's joined there too. I don't know when he actually is there. I don't know if he's got a garden leave clause or anything like that. But GG to Kick for actually grabbing some points this weekend, because it could have been easily 2 DNFs or Hulk. I'm not saying he's shit, he's not. But, it could have been like last year with Kick, and they may not have grabbed anything, but they did. So fair play to Hülkenberg getting the 7th place. He made the race exciting. It was really nice seeing the guys who we weren't expecting there in the top 10 to be in the top 10, and it actually made it worthwhile, despite me being a little pussy-ass bitch, being upset about it in the first podcast, because I think that was very, very silly. But I'm glad I put it out there, because, this podcast is about me and you getting to learn and know about a bit more about each other. And you learned that I'm a upset, sad little Ferrari fan who probably isn't going to get their way for the day I die. So hopefully we can get the old dub before I'm 85, because I don't think I'm going to make it past 85. In 15th, I had predicted Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki looked fucking brilliant during this race. He was 6th place for a long time, very long time. And he was driving well. He was avoiding incidences. He didn't fuck up. Looked good. And I'm not too sure what the fuck happened towards the end of the race. I was going to watch the highlights. Well, I have watched the highlights, but I didn't see anything. And then I tried to rewatch some of the race, and then I got bored towards the end of the race because I already knew what was going to happen. And I kind of started eating some cookies, and I started scrolling on my phone, and then I missed what happened with Yuki. So I still don't know how, but he was sick for most of the race, but he ended 12th. He actually ended out of the points, and they were looking like they were going to score some decent points this weekend as a team, but they didn't. But he still looked good. And again, I think the Yuki thing with him losing that many points, I believe, was VCARB. Sorry about this. VCARB's stupid pit. I'm not sure. I need to find out a little bit more about it, and if I do find any more about it, I will update why in due course. But at the moment, I still think it was a VCARB pit strategy or something. I'm not sure, but I'll find out. I will try and find out. But in the end, he only got 12. He got 12, so he didn't get any points, and he was there to get some decent points for this weekend for the team. It made the Liam decision look a bit awkward, let's face it. But at the same time, Liam's never driven a race in Melbourne. It was his first time having a race in Melbourne. He never drove in Melbourne last year. So it was a learning curve for him. And bless Liam, he was put in one of the toughest races of the season. The first race as well, all things granted. So he can't warm up with the car as much as he would have liked to on an easier track. But yeah, so well on to Yuki, but unfortunately to Yuki, you got P12. But I was 3 points off, 3 positions away off. In 14th place, I had predicted Fernando Alonso. He was looking okay. To be fair, him and Stroll were pretty close. He was ahead of Stroll for quite a bit of a race, and he just spun out. I'm not too sure what happened to him either. Just so much was going on. I took notes early in the morning of the race and what I had experienced. Again, it was almost like I was in a state of insomnia, because I was like, I just didn't see some of these things. I was like, what the fuck? I got the important ones for me, but then Alonso's felt rather important, and I didn't grab it. But he DNF'd in the end. So, yeah, bless Alonso, because he was actually looking like he was going to get some more points, and he would have potentially beat Lance Stroll, which could have been, 5th place, maybe 4th place, just between him and who was it in the fucking end? Alex Albon, if I remember correctly. He could have been in front of him. He could have stayed ahead of him, but it didn't happen. He was DNF'd. So, yeah, bit shit. Aston Martin didn't look too bad this weekend either as a whole. But again, like I said, 6 people weren't in it. It was hard to really judge who was quick. The weather conditions were appalling, but great at the same time, if you want to call that great, because it was just windy and rainy, slick. It was just no traction. So it's still quite hard to gauge who's got a decent quick car in the dry. Qualifying, McLaren's were quick, don't get me wrong. Ferraris didn't look too shit. Mercedes looked really good today. I don't know what the weather, the temperature was today. I don't know if it was a cooler temperature, but like George getting a P3, that's pretty fucking good going. And with his, I'm not going to, don't want to go too much further because I don't want to be just fucking ruining it. I'm just found myself rambling about things which I need to talk about further down in a minute. But anyway, we are going to move on from Alonso and we're going to talk about Jack Doohan. bless Jack. That was a shame. Again, I think it was like lap 2 or lap 1. Whatever happened with Jack, he span off and he snapped his rear wing. And I felt for the bastard, to be honest. It was his home Grand Prix. I was kind of hoping, it was lap 1. I was kind of hoping he was going to finish the race and, score a point on his debut, because he could have. He was looking like he could have. His teammate did. In the end, he got a point. But yeah, I like Jack. I don't want him to go. And I'm a little bit worried about the poor man, because let's face it, Colapinto is sat there and you've got Flavio going, we've got someone else here we've just paid millions of pounds for. He's probably thinking, well, if this carries on for another 2 races, yeah, bye-bye. So let's hope he actually gets another opportunity in the next race in China to actually show what he's got, because none of us really know what he's got yet in that Alpine, and I'm hoping it's good. The Alpine actually looked really nice today. It was quick, but I actually like the look of the car. Like the silhouette of the car looked really good. So I'm expecting semi-decent things from Alpine this year, with all things considered. I know I'm just saying we didn't know how to really grade who was quick and who was shit, but their silhouette was decent. So good on to Alpine. So we're now moving on to P12. In P12, I was optimistic, and I think I was positively optimistic. I should have looked at testing and kind of thought, actually, to be fair, testing actually isn't as irrelevant as what I was knowing, because I thought the Hasses were just sandbagging and just doing long runs and just saying to people, you ain't going to know how quick we are. We're fucking quick. But they weren't. They weren't sandbagging. They are a bag of sand. They were shite. They were really slow. They weren't good at all. And I'm concerned for Haas, and especially Ollie, because Ollie, bless him, and Esteban as well. But for me, more for Ollie. He's a rookie. He's a junior. It's harder to show off how good you are in a shite car. You can show off how good you are if you're in a mediocre car, like an old Williams or an Aston Martin. Again, I don't mean to slander anyone. You could even say that about Ferrari today. They were one of the shitter cars. Was it the car? Was it the strategy? I'm going with strategy, but I'm really hoping that the Hasses actually iron out their bumps and they get some speed, because I want Ollie to show people if he's good. If he's good. I believe he is good, because he got P7 for Ferrari in his debut race last year when Carlos was getting his appendix pulled out. So I believe in Ollie, and I always will, because of that debut. But also saying that car today was absolutely shambolic. It looked awful. And if you are American or you are a Haas fan, I feel for you. Have some words with Gene Haas. Tell him to spend some more money in developing that car with the engine and the power unit. We all kind of have a hunch, though. You may not, but this is the hunch I have, and many people are sharing, is that Haas this year, it's their throwaway year. Gene Haas has never really had the best track record, let's say, to put money into his team, unless he believes he's going to actually do something the next year or something. He put a lot of money into developing. So he might look at the car this year or ask, the team, is it worth me putting X amount of money into developing this car this year, and how much money will I get back in response to me putting in? The Haas get a lot of sponsorship deals, and a lot of F1 cars do this. Well, they are, but it's growing. The sport is growing. But is the Haas really that great compared to other cars? I would say it is, but you got the likes of Aston Martin with Adrian Newey now, who they were kind of neck and neck with last year, but they're developing quite a lot this year, and they're going to be thinking, well, we want to be ready for 2026. So I've got a sneaky suspicion that Haas this year are going to be dog shit, and they're going to be putting a lot of their eggs into the basket of 2026. I might be wrong, but looking at today, it doesn't look like they've done an awful lot on the car. A lot of the teams around them have gained almost a second in pace, and the Haas seem to have kept the same pace as last year, which is interesting, because I think they haven't put much money into developing the car, which is shit for the two drivers. And like I said, it would be nice for them both to have the opportunity to show off how good they are as drivers in a semi-decent car. And maybe they could have stopped developing. They may not have started developing, but Gene Haas may be holding money back for the development of the next year's car. I might be talking out my ass right now, but this is only my logical brain thinking, well, we're looking at the whole what if for next year with the different regulations and all of that, and they might want to get the ground running and do quite well like they did many years ago when the regulation changes. So yeah, I'm not sure what to take from Haas today. I'm very confused, as you may be too. And you may have listened to what I just said and think, he's got a good point. Or he's like, what a fucking idiot. Well, why would they do that? It's money's money. Of course they want to get money this year because it's millions of pounds. But we all know what Gene Haas is like. He's a tight little bastard. Right, we are now going to move on to P11. I said Alex Albon. I was what you want to fucking call it. I was singing the praises of his teammate Sainz, and I was wrong. Alex today did an amazing job. Very, very, very good job. Williams looked amazing, especially Alex in the end, because he actually could show off a little bit more of his skill compared to his teammate, who was, I think it was like lap 1, was gone. He was DNF'd. But yeah, he had a decent strategy, and James Vowles came out and said, thank you so much to Carlos Sainz for helping us with the tough decision of having to pit at that certain time to put him on inters. He said he looked at the forecast and he saw the weather coming, and he said that is going to be unraceable if we leave him on slicks. Not word by word, but pretty much that. And he listened, and it changed the tide of their race, according to James. So well done to Carlos Sainz for helping his teammate out. But yeah, commiserations to him as well at the same time. But we're not talking about Sainz at the moment. We're talking about Alex Albon. Alex Albon did an amazing job, and he came P5 in the end. So he got some incredible points for Williams. I'm a Williams Ferrari fan. A lot of people will be like, what the fuck? Why are you supporting those two teams? Those two literally headbutt each other all the time. I'm British, so my British team is Williams. I don't really like Red Bull. I love the drivers. Don't get me wrong, the drivers are great, but I don't really like Red Bull. And I guess you could call that a British team, but they're more from Thailand. Are they Thailand or Asian? But their home base is in England, so I'm not too sure what the fuck it is. Or Swiss? I'm not sure. I can't remember the origin of an energy drink of Red Bull, but yeah, Williams are my second favourite team. So at least one of my teams today they're trying to join, but now I say more Ferrari actually. But it was nice to see Alex in P5 and getting some really decent points for Williams. They deserve it, and they've worked fucking hard, and they finally got two very good drivers. I know I'm saying this now, and Sainz didn't finish the fucking race, but I'm a big believer that he's very good. I think he's very good. He's very switched on. We saw that with him at Ferrari last year, kind of taking the reins with his own strategy, and today he took, by the sounds of it, helped with the reins with Carlos Sainz, with Alex Albon, with his position in the race. So yeah, fair play to Alex. So yeah, good on him. So in P10, I put Pierre Gasly. I was actually quite close to this prediction. He got P11 in the end. Again, I don't know why he was so quite high up. I don't think he had a great race from what I can remember. That's just the cars ahead of him were quick and better. But I'm just going to pull up the grid again because I've actually kind of forgot who was ahead of him. F1 Australia. I wish I could type quicker. Australian Grand Prix. Let's have a look at the standings because that'd be quite handy. No, let's see if I can find it. Standings. Because I don't know, why the fuck? Why didn't it come up on Google search straight away? It should do. Dickhead. I don't want to be lingering on this for too long because this will piss people off. I'm not going to linger on it too long because I can't find it. I could just pause it, actually. I'm just going to pause it. Yeah, so I finally found it. For some reason, when I opened up F1 to be 2024, and I was confused. I was like, this was not what happened today. I was like, what the fuck? But where Pierre Gasly came was P11th, and ahead of him was, well, I don't want to get through. Why am I doing this? I'm fucking being a dickhead. But the people ahead of him were rather quick. People you might have gone, well, he should have beaten, were probably Nico Hulkenberg. But, yep, he's the GOAT. So he did really well. But yeah, just Alpine were kind of not really in the source today. They lost one of their drivers quite early on, well, very early on. And Pierre Gasly didn't get the points which we thought he was going to get today. Well, I thought. Anyway, I thought he was going to get at least 1 point, and he didn't get any. So in P9, I said Kimi Antonelli. The reason why I said Kimi was I had a sneaky suspicion he wasn't going to make the race. He was going to finish it. I thought he was going to DNF just because of the weather for yesterday's race. But he didn't. He actually pulled out the bag. He was fourth place. Then he was given a 5-second penalty. And then that 5-second penalty was revoked. And then he got it back. He's now back to P4. And that's his debut race in an F1 car. P4. That's fucking amazing. Really, really good. Really fucking good. In those conditions, that's fucking amazing. Like, whoa. A lot of people haven't really been talking about it, which I'm surprised. Well, I haven't been seeing any of it on social media and people posting shit. That is a feat in its own. Like, eye-opening how good that is. He's one position behind his teammate, who's been there for many years, and he's been beating Lewis. And Kimi's gone there straight away in P4. Fucking fair play to the young chap, the 18-year-old. I think he's 18 or 17. I think he's 18. Fuck yeah. Fair play. I nothing but respect for the kid. He came in with a positive mindset before on the grid walk. Martin Brundle went up to him. Martin kind of laughed and didn't really understand how he was there in that sense, like how young he is. And he showed his maturity today and his driving fucking puress or fuess. I can't even talk. I'm dyslexic. I'm terrible at talking. I do apologise, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. But yeah, Kimi got me in P4. So fair play to Kimi. Loved it. Big Kimi fan. Like, from not just that, but from last year when he was in Monza and he crushed his car when he got the contract. But you can see that kid is aggressive, and I think a lot of people are going to learn from him, even though he's only 18. In P9, I predicted Carlos Sainz. I felt like he probably would have been near Alex in the end, like P5, 6, maybe 4. Maybe taking a bit, holding back Kimi. But unfortunately, he DNF'd. The weather and the conditions got to the better of him and he slid out and his race was over very early, which was a shame because I love Carlos Sainz. Ferrari legend, but now he's at Williams and now he's a Williams legend. But, you know, today's race wasn't very legendary. It was one of those races he's probably want to forget about. But he's also brought up his amplitude of legendary status via helping out Alex Albon with his race, with saying, put the inters on, the weather conditions too shit. So, yeah, unfortunately to Sainz, that's how he left the race, was in a DNF and a crash. Probably not how we wanted to end it. Probably wanted to end with some points, but at least he helped his teammate secure the bag. In P7, stupidly, I'd predicted Liam Lawson, just because I thought it was like his race, not his home race, but his neighbourhood race. And he didn't start that well off, did it? He qualified really poorly. It was a bit of a gamble. I knew it was his first time racing here, but I didn't realise it was going to be that bad, bless him. He didn't really progress much at all in a race, even when he wasn't DNF'd. He was down at the bottom, like 17th for quite some time. So I thought, oh shit. When he DNF'd in the end, bless him. So hopefully Liam can brush this off and, you know, get his confidence back and go into China next weekend, fucking full steam ahead and actually do some shit. But yeah, today, Liam, yeah, sorry to see what happened to you, mate. Hopefully you do better. In 5th place, I put Piastri. He should have really, in my opinion, come first this weekend. Lando Norris fans are going to be listening to us thinking, what the fuck, why are you saying this? If you can record to the beginning of this podcast, I talked about Pyre rules, saying, oh, you don't want to be passing now. It felt like around like lap 20, mid-20s. They kind of came on a radio station. McLaren were like, okay, don't push too much. And I was like, hang on, Oscar Piastri has more pace than Lando. Why are they doing this now? It's race 1. Let them race. If they take each other out on lap 1, or the first race, it's fucking annoying. But you can't just like mollycoddle Lando. Let him race. Like, I'm sure Lando is not opposed to having a race with Oscar. It's just annoying how they're doing it because they're kind of shooting himself in the ass from last year, going, oh, you know, we Lando maybe could have won the season if we just stuck to Lando. But then at the same time, Piastri could be quicker most of the season, like way more than this race, and you're kind of put him a nail in the coffin straight away. Which doesn't make any fucking sense, in my opinion. Apparently they're both paid the same. Their contracts doesn't say you're either the number 1 or number 2 driver, so both number 1 drivers. Why didn't you let them race? They're not going to crash into each other. Yes, I get the conditions are bad, but then they're meant to be the best drivers on the planet, so let them do it. And eventually, I got a feeling a few things came into this. Oscar span out, went on the grass, and he had to reverse. I don't know if there's anything to do with the wind, with the tailwind he was getting from the car ahead of him, Lando's, but I don't know what the fuck was going on. Like, they could have said they was just letting pass a bit before, and he may have never have span out. And eventually, he went from second and he finished in 9th. He should have really been first or second, really. He drove really well. And it was a shame that the Australian curse, or the home race curse of Australia, it's not the Australian curse, it just seems that Australian drivers don't seem to do that well. I'm not saying that's an actual thing. It's, it's just a coincidence. But yeah, it's a shame to see Piastri there, really, because I like him. I like him a lot. I like Oscar. In P4, I predicted Lewis Hamilton. His enthusiasm throughout the week for this race for the race what happened yesterday was really positive, really, really good. He was showing positive vibes all day and the build up to it. He was happy in testing. His dad was saying with the walk, like, this is just like the first day in F1, like, this is fantastic. And I thought, oh my God, we're going to see Lewis like shred some dick. But the 2 Ferrari cars, the strategy, they absolutely shafted them as per. And I don't want to hold on for it too long, but it just happens all the time. You had Lewis's race engineer constantly updating him, and I'm like, Lewis doesn't sound like he really wants to be listening to this right now. He's kind of like literally squinting to see where he's going through the visor to try and figure out where the fuck a car is, and he's getting told to press these buttons on the steering wheel when he's like, he probably knows when to press it. I would assume so, especially winning the World Championship 7 times, that maybe you should just leave him alone and see what happens. He was kind of confident in the race. I think he was struggling with pace. I think just Leclerc's just quicker at the moment. I think he is, period, but we'll see how it goes in the season. But yeah, it was a shame to see Lewis go where he go, but he got a point on his debut. He didn't not get a point, and he finished the race, which is good. He got P10 in the end, so he got 1 point for Ferrari, but not what he wanted, not what I wanted, not what any of us really wanted if you're a Ferrari fan or Lewis Hamilton fan. So yeah, commiserations to Lewis, and it's one of those things. It's a learning curve for him. It's his first race in a Ferrari, and first race he's ever had in a non-McLaren Mercedes power unit. So yeah, fair play to the guy. He got a point. He could have not got a point, but he did. So yeah, unlucky Lewis, but hopefully we get a few more points next race, because I don't want us to fall to 9th place in the second race of the season. In P3, I put Leclerc. Again, same type of reasoning behind it. I thought he'd do really well in the wet. He's normally pretty decent in the wet. The car was rumoured to be quick. The downforce had been rumoured to be put quite heavy because of the wet conditions. But again, they were P1 and P2 at one point, and they were on slicks. They could have gone in when there was a yellow flag, and they didn't put them in. And I thought, oh my fucking God, what are they doing? It was a joke. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. So yeah, that was annoying. And then he ended up getting P8, and he only got, how many points did he get? 4 points. I was like, for fuck's sake. So yeah, he could have got, how many points would he have got if he got second place? I've got, what is it, 18? Yeah, 18 points. He got 18 points off 25 points he'd won if he'd won it. You got to dream on, you got to dream big if you're a Ferrari fan, but he didn't. But yeah, annoying. In P2, so this was I was kind of on the mark, but I said P2, Lando. Lando did a great race this weekend. If you're not a Lando fan, you just thought, oh, he's a little sport brat with Zach Brown telling other drivers not to touch him. I get that criticism. I kind of agree with it. He's just leave him be. It's his first race, the first race of the season. But he drove very well. Dealt with pressure really well. He had Max Verstappen breathing down his neck quite a lot of the race. He had not just Max, but he had Oscar Piastri there too. And he dealt with it well. I don't know what, none of us know what you may know. You may have had to be on boards with his helmet, but I didn't. He may have been slagging off everyone here and everywhere, but I didn't get that impression at all. He seemed very, very cool, calm and collected during the race, which is crazy, especially when it was like pissing down with rain and blowing a fucking hoolie. Whenever the the comms went to his helmet, he seemed very calm. He didn't seem sporadic. He didn't seem upset. I wonder if he's had quite a lot of time to reflect on his mental state and his mental frame of mind on the off season to prepare for this season. And I hope he has, because like I was saying prior to this podcast, I don't know which one it was, maybe the first one I did, Lando's a very emotional driver. And today his emotions were very, very calm. And I'm glad. And I'm kind of happy that I've said that he's an emotional driver. And then today we saw that he was calm. And look what he's done. He's won the race. He got P1 in the end. So fair play to Lando. The car is the quickest car on the grid, let's face it. But again, also saying that it was wet. A lot of shit was going on. A lot of teams had to learn. New drivers in different cars. Lando and Piastri have been in that seat for years, so they've got that thing. But you could say the same thing with George and, and with Leclerc. But I'm grasping at sticks here, or straws, whatever it's called. And in P1, I had predicted Max Verstappen, but he got P2. Again, great race from Max. The car maybe isn't as quick as what we thought it should be, but he still put that car in a great position, and he wasn't far off Lando in the end. And yeah, he drove amazingly as per usual. You can always depend on Max. And I think it's going to be a tight season in the top three this year. I don't know who's going to win it. If people are going to say Lando, and you might be right. People are going to say Max, you might be right. Some people might say Kimi, Leclerc, fucking Oscar. You might be right. We don't know yet. But it's so fucking early to tell. And people start putting predictions down. Good on you. Put some money on it and see what happens. See if you make some money or lose some money. But yeah, it was a good race. And like I said in the the beginning of the second podcast across the weekend, I kind of had to reflect on my behaviour and my approach to the race, because I was just a bit butthurt with Ferrari. Very disappointed. I've been looking forward to this race all bloody year. Well, not year, but the last few months since the season had ended last year. And I couldn't wait to see Lewis in a Ferrari and Leclerc get a 1-2 with Lewis behind. Or in front. I would prefer Leclerc to win it. But yeah, I was disappointed really. Like I woke up early and I was like, fuck off. It's one of those things. I'm being a bit spoiled, but it's not just being spoiled. It's what I'm used to. And it annoys the shit out of me. And it probably annoys you too if you're a Ferrari fan. But yeah, it's one of those things. And we got to look forward to next week in China. So yeah, thank you very much for listening to this podcast. I really appreciate it. And have a lovely day, whatever you're up to. And I will speak to you guys soon. Take it easy. Love you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Red Line Racing